MR.KOA.
We need to talk.
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 Welcome to Wntt TV. I'm host Mr. KOA alongside
Top Boy.
And we're back again for another week. New things, new topics. I had a really cool weekend. Zamor was there as well. Had my first event. That was beyond incredible. Can't even explain the feeling. It's kind of a you had to be there kind of thing, you know. No, it was cool. It surpassed all my expectations. Started from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 10:30, and literally was waves and waves of people every hour from 2 o'clock. 2 months of planning, 1 day of, I guess, success, and it was a very overwhelming feeling. I cried, which
How many
I knew
times?
it was gonna happen. Well, only one time. Only one cry per day.
There's only one cry. You sure?
Only one cry per day. You only get one cry per day.
Okay.
I almost cried a second time when my parents had their speech, but I'm like, you guys got my tears already. That's it. But it was definitely a special thing, and the main reason I did it was just kind of like, you know, in my speech I was saying just like I'm fine being the catalyst and being that person that, you know, makes mistakes first and puts himself out there, and you know it's easy to support people online and social, you know, support and gratification from likes and comments and stuff, but it's a very different ballgame doing things in real life. You know, like I'm sure there's people online who have 100,000 followers, maybe even 1 million followers. Some people with 1 million followers I've seen, if they host an event, there won't be 30 people that actually show up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like you have 1 million followers, but you can't even fill a room of 100 people. Like, how does that even translate, right? So that's really what I was curious to do for myself. It was kind of a trial for me to be like, okay, I have about 9,000 followers, cool. I don't really care about the number too much. But in terms of engagement, like my engagement's pretty consistent. You know, I get a lot of messages from random people from all walks of life every day. So I was like, if I actually host something, let's see who really shows up, because that's a true metric of your influence and your you know your effect on people. If people actually, one, come out, schedule time, and then pay. Yeah. Those are like very, you know, deliberate activities that need to happen for you to really, I guess, determine how well or how important you are to somebody and how they view you. So I ended up closing, you know, total ticket sales, 115 tickets at the end of the night. Man, like, in my mind, I was like, maybe 50 people come out, maybe, you know, 60 max.
Yeah.
When we have our live shows for our podcast, we get around 85, 90 people. Yeah. So I was like, okay, the live show is me and him, you know, it's both of us, so we have a kind of combination of our followings, and we get 90 people, which is good. Like, we have 90 people in there, we're like, yo, this is crazy. So when I hit 115 by myself, I was like, yo, this is like, I can't even compare it to anything. So what did you think about it? Like, I don't really know how the process was. I was kind of just floating, but
I thought it was dope. I think probably the coolest thing about what you're saying is the number of people that showed up is great, but it's the fact that the event was long, right? Like, it was from 2 to 10 roughly, and it's like there was just waves of people coming throughout the day. It's not like at some points it was like really, really dead and then whatever. It's like people just kept showing up whenever they could. I got there in the evening and it was like pretty bumping. Like, it was busy, which is really, really good. But piggybacking off what you said, it was dope just to see a lot of people there that, one, most of us only ever knew, like, online, and then now you can put like a username to a face properly, and then just seeing the energy people were receiving, you know? Like, a lot of people, I think, left your event thinking to themselves, maybe I want to do this.
A lot of them people said
like,
me too.
Yeah, like, I want to do this in the future, or I was like thinking about doing it, and now that I've seen that it's possible, like, I want to do it, right? So it was like really good and uplifting. It's definitely something that had a positive impact on a lot of people moving forward, I think, which is, I guess, like, one of the best things that you can hope for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, but yeah, so hopefully you guys come to the next one, because there will be a next one. And I wanted to address earlier, I was talking to Zamor about it, I was like, I noticed, you know, a lot of people have messaged me since the event, you know, like almost at least 60, 70 people messaged me saying, like, I tried to make it, I wanted to come, I'm so mad I didn't come, I'm bummed out or whatever. Some of those people are probably being honest and they're being valid about that.
Yeah.
But I also have to understand, and I'm aware that there's a number of people who, after seeing the aftermath of I was posting and what went up, because I didn't really give much in terms of what was going to be happening at the event prior to the event. So if you purchased a ticket and you came out, you were coming out based on my word.
Yeah.
Based on like, I'm going to have something cool. There's going to be some stuff there. You don't really know what, how much. So you're kind of like, I'm buying into this idea he has. So after now, people seeing everything that happened and the amount of people that showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of messages say people, I wish I could have came, but we live in an era of skepticism, right? Especially for new artists and new creatives and new businesses per se.
Yeah.
The first of anything is very easy to overlook because especially if you've seen someone from the beginning. I think that's even another thing to add. Because if there's like a first Nike event, let's say, right? Like Nike has built its brand, but let's say they have the first of this kind of event, right? That's still their first thing. They're still trying something new out of their realm. Like their brand is there, but whatever they're trying is going to be new, right? Which means it's still a risk on their end, right? But if they try that first thing, Nike, you're comfortable with Nike, so you're going to check it out because you're like, usually they do good stuff. They have a track record of this. So this might be something they've never done before, but I'm interested. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to, you gonna say something?
Well, yeah, I feel like in that regard, you fall into that category though. You know what I mean? That where you already have a brand established. Like you might not. It's hard to look at it. Like I know you're a very confident person, but sometimes even when you're very confident, it's hard to like look at stuff that you've done, and like really understand the gravity of like how big it is. So I completely agree with what you're saying, right? Like in Nike's example, they throw like a new event, it's still a risk for them, but their brand is so strong that even though it's a risk for them, they can bank on the fact that there's a good chance people are gonna show up because of our name, like who we are. And I just felt like, for me, from my perspective, going into Saturday and seeing your event, I was like, it was funny like hearing you say that you didn't know how many people were gonna turn up. I didn't really have any doubt that a lot of people were going to turn up because you already have a brand established, right? And this is something that we've spoken about before. I've had private conversations with you about it in regards to, freelancing and people trying to start their own business, right? I think what separates us from a lot of other people who do what we do, right? There's a million other videographers and photographers out there, right? And it's weird because at the event, I'm talking to people that I've known through Instagram, but I've never met in person. And they're telling me things like, yo, you changed the way that I look at things with drones, or like certain video things that you do, like this is like your thing. Right? So people recognize me for that. But then you have to remember, like, looking at you, it's like people know your brand. Like, they know it very well.
Right.
So for me, I'm just like, this isn't going to be, like, you were saying, throwing out numbers, like, I don't know if, like, 30 people or whatever is going to show up. I'm looking at you like you're crazy. I'm like, a lot of people are going to show up because you have a brand. And, like, a lot of other photographers and videographers don't have a brand.
Right.
You know what I mean? What a lot of people have is they have a style, a skill set. Like, I can look at a prime example, like Eames, right? Like, this guy is like a boudoir, like lingerie photographer, whatever. Like, there's a million of those people out there that do this, right? But I can be scrolling through Instagram and know if it's his photo.
You know his photo.
Like, even if he didn't post it, like, I'll know it's his photo without seeing it, right? Because he has a specific style. And I don't know if you could almost consider that like his brand, but like it's more so his style.
Right.
But you have this thing going around your whole, that's included with your style too. The whole thank you for your eyes, like, who is MR.KOA? These are all things that feed into it. It's like a funnel, right? So it's just, I don't know. Sometimes you gotta feel yourself a little bit, like it's a good thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But it's exciting. And on top of everything that we're doing, we have this for you guys. These are the conversations we want to have because, as you can tell, like, these are authentic conversations because I'm going through this now. Like, it's not something this is his time experiencing me experience something for the first time. Like it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I've done this before. This is how you do it. It's more like I didn't know what I was doing either. So I know when he's ready to do something, I'm sure he's gonna want to do something at some point.
Yeah.
Especially after being part of what I did, I'll be there for him to kind of guide him and be like, this is what didn't work. This is what did work. And that's really the whole point of our friendship and then our brand as well. So we need to talk about other things other than just relationships, but business and growing and our own self-growth. It's all important. So you have some questions for today?
Yes, actually got a bunch.
Okay.
Because last week, so pretty much for those of you that follow us on IG, last week you probably saw us reacting to a YouTube series. Basically, my girl and I have been watching this YouTube series for like quite a while now, and it's this channel called Jubilee. And there's like 2 other channels out there like it. There's Jubilee. This one is run by, it's predominantly Asian. Not predominantly, but they have they feature a lot of Asian people on it. But then you have like another one called Cut, which is like more diverse. But the point of the show is they like to conduct like these social experiments, right? So they have this one series called Odd One Out. And for example, they'll have 6 people in a room and they'll do things where it's like everyone in the room is a vegan, but one of them might be a meat eater. And that person who's a meat eater is gonna interact with these people and basically lie their way into making everyone think they're vegans. By the end of it, if the meat eater stays all the way till the end, they win all the money. But if the other people vote that person out, they win, right? So they do crazy things like that. But the ones we were watching related heavily towards relationship-based stuff, right? And it was very interesting watching it from like a research perspective, right? Because there's one particular game that they played was speed dating.
The Versus one. It's a whole Versus series.
The whole Versus series, yes. But they had one where it's like speed dating and it'd be 20 guys versus 1 woman, or like 1 guy versus 20 women. But the one that blew us away, basically, it was blind dating. And the way it was set up, picture me sitting down right here. I have a phone, and there's 20 women sitting in a circle around me.
Like a campfire.
Like a campfire, also with phones, right? And we're all in a group chat. The thing is, they can see my display picture. All the women in the chat don't have a picture. So I have no idea
who's saying what,
but I can see everything they're saying. So I'm interacting with them. And basically the point is I'm trying to weed people out until I get down to a few people who would then consider going on a date with me. What was crazy though was seeing the difference between how men played this game.
Things we look for and the things we ask are very specific things that are actually like useful. Like we ask useful questions.
Yo, I was talking to a friend about this, right? And I sent her the one with the girl. There was a girl who ended up with no one, right? And at the very end of one of the guys said on the way out, he's like,
"You'll be single for a while.
You're gonna be single for a long time," right? Because basically, she was asking certain things that
just superficial stuff.
Very superficial. Like it was nuts. I know we are all superficial. We're all superficial, right? But
absolutely,
there comes a point where there's a high chance that you will be negating yourself from something that is great or could be great for your life.
For something you think is important.
Exactly. So in this particular case, the first question I wanted to ask you, and it came from the show, is why do women have an issue with age and dating, right? And to preface it, the woman on the show, she got down to like 3 guys, and apparently it looked like it was going great. She's, I believe, 26.
26, yeah.
She's 26 years old. Everything was going great. And she said, to the camera, I have to date a guy who's at least my age or older. But if he's my age, he can't even be 2 months.
Nothing.
He can't be months younger than me. Not even months. Not even months. We're born in the same age, but months. No, he has to be older than me, right? So I'm like, okay, here we go. All the guys that were left, there's like 3 of them.
They're all like 22 max.
One guy's like One guy was like 20. One guy was 25.
Oh yeah, he was.
One guy was 25.
Just yeah.
I think one guy was turning 26, and she basically said, "If you're under this age, you gotta go. Please leave." I don't think she was nice about it. She's like, "You gotta go."
You gotta go.
She's like, "You gotta go."
Every man cut.
Every man cut. They're like, "All right, bye." And then she says to the camera, "You know, I just have certain values that I want to uphold," and that's where I got vexed. It's not a value. That's a preference. There's a difference between values and preferences. We need to understand that when it comes to dating.
So the thing I always say, especially about age, I have a plus minus with age.
Yeah.
The plus I have is typically when someone's my age or older, I believe, which is an assumption, I believe that they've at least experienced some things that I've experienced. They've, by my time, finished school.
Yeah.
Certain things I would like you to be at by this age, right? If you never went to school, then school doesn't matter. But in terms of just life experience by this age. Now, when they're younger, the minus part about it is like, okay, I personally don't want to be talking to someone that's still in school because of scheduling, because of my lifestyle, because I'm like, if you're still in school, it's like, if I want to do something, it's like, you got, like, that's not you though. Like, I don't think anything's wrong with you.
Yeah.
I just like, okay, if you're this young and you are still in school, like, I'm so beyond school. If you're still studying, it's like, I get it, I respect it, but to fit my lifestyle, to fit our dating relationship, it may be difficult. But I won't write you off because that'll have to be something like, you know what? Let's go on a few dates. Let me see how much I really like you. And if it does, like if I really do like you and you happen to be in school, I'm not gonna write you off because like now then it's like, okay, you know what? Then I start asking my questions, am I willing to adjust this for her to finish school?
See,
right? Like,
and like this was talked about on a previous one, right? And I was talking to my girl about it because I think I said something along the lines of, you know, if a man is like dating a girl who's like just starting university or college, like I don't know how seriously he's taking that relationship, right? Like some some stuff on the low might be happening.
Right.
And she's like, "Do you really believe that?" And I said, "Look, I think it's very different if you've already been dating someone and they decide to go back to school, right?
Or like go for a post degree.
Go for a post degree or whatever. They go back to school.
Yeah.
It's very different to like me at my age meeting someone who is already a lot younger than me. At this point, they're probably at least 7 years younger than me, and they're in school. So yeah, the scheduling is different. What we're gonna deal with is gonna be different. What we're gonna talk about is different. My priorities.
You're just trying to finish
different.
school. You're not worrying about buying a house, nothing. You're just like, I just want to finish my course.
Exactly.
It's like
I'm thinking about I just have to get through this semester. I'm thinking like I have to save up to like buy a house. And so things are very different. But it was crazy to me to see how, to exactly what you said, how quickly people, or the women in these particular videos were quick to just write people off, like right off the bat, right? Because I was just like, yo, like,
you don't know.
Okay, sure, that dude is younger than you, right?
He could give you the world.
And so what?
He could literally be the guy that gives you the world. He could be the guy that treats you like every man you've been complaining about doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, and he's a year younger than you. He could be that. Oh, but you're younger, so I don't even care. It's like,
I'm like, what does that mean? You know, so it's crazy. You have, like, think about like that dynamic too, because I know for a fact there are a lot of women who would prefer to be dating someone that's older than them.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, what do you, like, then it creates this weird dating, like, pool where I wouldn't say it's weird. You know what? It's not necessarily weird because a lot of the girls that I have dated have been younger than me, right? But it's interesting because imagine you're like a 26-year-old dude and you're like, yo, I can't get any girls my age because they all want
30-year-olds,
right? So then, you like, what do you end up doing?
You have to go down.
It's like you just end up dating by circumstance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I find it's super rare for me that I'm meeting people today where I find out they're in relationships with someone the exact same age as them. And I wonder if that's by design or by chance. Right? Because for me, I can say truthfully, it's been by chance. Like, I've never actively said I want to date someone younger than me.
Well, I mean, it is chance though. Because think about it, like, at any given time, you meet a girl right now, wherever you are. What's your name? What's your age? That's a gamble every time. Like,
It is, yeah.
like I don't. It's not like you're like, yes, you're 27 too.
But
like,
you know what though? Like I'm shocked. I said this as well. Like I'm shocked when I'm in an entirely new place. I meet someone new,
and they're your age.
and they're my age. Because I think about that. I'm like, what are the chances of that happening?
It is a chance though. Yeah.
Because like when I was in school, I stayed back an extra year in high school, grade 13 to play more sports. Then I went to McMaster, and after Mac, I went to Humber.
Right.
And then when I would go into the workforce, I was like meeting people my age who did the exact same thing.
Like same path.
They stayed back a year, went to university, then went to college.
And your timing both came here.
I'm like, that is so weird to me.
I do agree with you because there's very few occasions, especially now. Like I don't go out that much anymore because it's almost a never. If I go out, there's no way I'm meeting someone who's 29. Like so, I don't even go out that much anymore. But even when I'm traveling and stuff, I meet someone. If I meet a girl at an event or or even just at the beach or something, I'm just like, oh, how do you? I rarely meet someone that's like 29. It's like and when I do, which has been rare, I'm like, oh, me too. Yeah. Like, but it's a rare like.
But it's like a
because I'm already like you're either 33 or 24. Like it's such a dispersed gap, right? Like
range.
it's rarely like I'm also 29. It's like, and I feel like, which is funny. This might be a hot thing. I don't know. Does sharing the same age with somebody increase your interest in them? Like I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like those moments when you're the same age is like a icebreaker somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like when you're like,
I get that.
You're like, oh, I'm 29.
Yeah.
Me too. It's like, oh, when were you born?
That.
Oh, 90? Really? What birthday? Like now you're like, I can, even though I don't get you, you feel like you're like, oh, we're both 29. Like it's almost like a relief of like, you're 26 too? Oh man, I keep meeting girls that are too old or too young. Like you kind of both feel like this like, finally, like at least now we can talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can definitely respect that. Like I think, I definitely think it is an icebreaker.
It's an icebreaker.
Now that I really think about it. Even if you have,
because you at least smile.
Yeah.
You at least smile. If someone's like same age, you're like, sick. Like you're like, yes.
Very true. You know what? I totally agree with that. Because it's funny when I hear about like my girl's younger than me, and she said things before. She's like, I just couldn't like. There's no way that I could date someone my age, right?
She's young, so it's different.
She's younger, but I get what she's saying from the perspective of things that she's gone through in life. So life experiences.
She's more advanced for her
She's
age.
like, I can't date someone who's my age.
Right.
But then it's like, imagine I'm the same person, yeah? Imagine
I meet you.
And I met you at your age.
You tell me you wouldn't like me?
I'm like, are we not gonna date or what? And I don't know.
You actually don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer to that. I couldn't tell you if my girl would be like, yeah, we would. A big part of me
would say no, maybe.
Think she would just be like, nah, we probably like smash, but we're not gonna date. And I'm like, okay, I guess.
I think for her and for many women, the assumptions are so strong with age.
Yes,
like that it like supersedes all reality.
Yeah.
Like this guy could be treating you right. He could be, your parents could like him. Your friends like, yo, guy's dope, and you're like, he is. It's like, what's the thing? He's 22, 23. It's like,
this is
it's like, but like
this is a hot take. But I think that if you are a younger guy, right? Let's say you meet a girl, she's 23. You're also 23. I think that you have to be like pretty phenomenal. Like whatever
to wow them.
You have to like wow them. You have to whatever it is.
And that's not fair.
Especially if she's bad, you have to be.
Yeah, because she can already go up when she feels like it. That's the problem. She feels like it.
This is the thing. Like, look, I'm not a woman, but I've speculated a lot. I have a lot of female friends. I've seen what goes on back in like my social days. The amount, like, I think women in like a social perspective, I think they progress like super fast, like way quicker than guys do, right? So it's not necessarily them just saying, I want an older man just because.
Right.
Even though that is the case sometimes, I also think it's because they've been around the foolishness so much for so long that they're just like, listen, I refuse to date someone my age. Because
Just refuse.
I refuse it because of the foolishness I've seen. So if I'm approaching you as a 23-year-old man,
Yeah.
I already have to have like something going on. Like
Yeah.
they have to look at me and say to themselves, wow. They literally have to say, wow.
Yeah.
You know how crazy it is to wow someone? Like,
Wow them immediately. It's not even an overtime thing because you might get written off first day if you don't.
for real.
It has to be
you
like
saying your age might crush everything right there. You have to lead with I'm 30 under 30. You know, you have to lead
you
with
have to
stuff like
wow
that.
with all your flashpoints quick, and then like get them up here to account for the drop.
Yeah.
Once you
You
tell
gotta
them
get
the age.
that buffered, you know? You're gonna
I'm
be
gonna
up here.
I'm gonna get you here.
So when they say the age, it drops like to here. But up
you're
here,
still plus. You're
still plus minus, you know? Which is crazy. It's crazy. It's not like
fair.
it's not like that for
That's
us.
not fair.
You know what I mean? Like, and which is also kind of wild that it's
Yeah.
not like that for us.
What wows you from a girl? What could wow you from a girl?
What could wow
I
me?
know what wows me.
You tell me.
Because when it
first.
happens, I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow, for real. Anytime I meet a woman right now, which I have a few times, hasn't turned to anything because there might be other things that I might not like about them, but I am wild in these areas.
Yeah.
Anytime I meet a woman right now that's like, I have one, if not two properties, I'm like, wow. Like,
Yeah, the property thing's big.
when girls tell me they have properties, I'm always like, wow, because that's something I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's usually, I feel like I'm usually wowed by things I want to do that they possess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think those are the things that actually wow me. When there's things that they possess I want to do. So some girls are like, well, I have one property up here, I'm renting out, and I have this second property. I'm just like, wow, that's a wow. Another thing is like, when someone tells me, you know, they have their master's or something. Even though I'm probably not go for my master's, because I've done school and have my undergrad, I know what it takes to get a master's.
Yeah,
so I'm wowed by that.
Yeah.
Because I'm still just like you really kept going. Like, regardless of what it is, like you have to take the discipline to do that. That's you know, something I don't really have right now to get my master's, but I am impressed by people who do have those things. Another wow thing is probably anytime I hear someone that's doing like things in the community.
Yeah.
Because it's so rare. Like it's so easy to just like, you know, be modeling or do this or, you know, be personal for yourself. Just like I do this, I have all these things for yourself. When you're like, oh, I give back to the youth or I work with kids and do like, and it's not your job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if you're a social worker, okay, you work with kids. But if you're like, no, I'm a nurse or whatever, but on weekends I go to this, you know, when people tell me that they do things that are not their job, but it's like very consuming time. I'm like, how? Like then I start questioning, how do you fit that?
Well, see, that's what I was gonna say. Like for me, what probably wows me the most is when I meet a woman and I find out how incredibly busy she is. You know, because like you brought up, it's very easy to do certain things like modeling or make it very easy. Like, look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think society today favors people who are aesthetically like very good looking.
Yes.
Right? And if you're very good looking and you know how to, for lack of a better word, monetize that in some way, you can pretty much experience a lot of great things in life, do a lot of things, get paid a lot of money. But over time, for me, when I look at it, I start feeling like there's no substance, which might be a little unfair, right? Because I don't know these people personally. I just see what they post.
Right.
So when I meet a woman who is very busy, like they're doing multiple different things, they're either running their own business or, you know, they're holding down multiple jobs, but they're doing it because they're all things that they want to do. Those things wow me because I meet a lot of people who are just lazy.
Yeah.
You know, they're very, very boring, not doing stuff. And I find
doing one thing, saying they're busy.
I'm just like and the thing is, I've never been the type to compare where someone's like, oh man, I'm so busy, and it's like, well, you're not really busy because I'm doing this.
No,
and
it's
this.
not you versus them.
Know?
No,
but it's hard to ignore that in the back of my head because sometimes I'll say to myself, listen, I know that's busy for you, but it's probably busy for you because you're not optimizing your time properly. Right? So that's probably the main thing. that honestly wows me, right?
We just got a really deep question.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to ruin
go into it. What is
the
it?
vibe right now, but the fact that they asked that means they really trust us.
Yeah.
Someone just asked, what do you do when your girlfriend has mental health issues and has spoken about suicide? First question, have you dealt with that before? I have.
Yeah.
So second question is, what do you do? Or what have you done?
Okay, so what do you do when your girlfriend tells you that she has mental health issues? I think honestly, my answer to this would have been very different
When you're younger?
when I was younger,
Right.
because I didn't know anything about mental health or how to navigate it. And obviously, like most people know, my brother passed away from suicide this year, right? So I think my perspective on a lot of these things have changed, right? But I think first and foremost, if someone is telling you that they're suffering from some form of mental health issue, I think you have to be very appreciative of the fact that they're even trusting you to say this, right? Because it's not easy for a lot of people to do. And I think all you can do in that initial moment is try to understand the severity of, how they're being afflicted by these issues, right? And when it's coming up, what kind of things may trigger it. And then from there, it's not just a one-off conversation. If someone tells you that they're having these issues and you care about them.
It's not a one-talk fix.
Yeah, and you care about them and you care to, see this through with them, you got to check in like every now and then and just be like, how you doing? If they're feeling sad, you can let them know. It's okay to feel the way that they do. It's just how do we move forward through it? And it's very interesting you brought this up, that we got this question now, because there's this show called Modern Love on Amazon.
Okay.
And it's an anthology, right? So like every episode is different, but they all connect somehow. And it's about people who fall in love or have connected through different circumstances, and it all takes place in New York. So there's this one
trauma?
It's
Connected through trauma?
Not trauma. It's just connected through love, but in different ways,
Okay.
right? So there's like one where there's like a gay couple who's they want to have a kid, so they find a surrogate mother, and but then it shows how it relates. There's another guy who created an app that's basically like Tinder, fell in love with this woman, and it didn't.
Through the app?
Not through the app,
Oh.
but he fell in love with this woman because she came to like his book signing or whatever. They ended up getting together. Things didn't work
Crazy
out.
occurrences kind of.
Yeah, things didn't work out. They broke up. Years later, he like goes to a coach. It's like a crazy story.
Okay.
But there's one in particular where Anne Hathaway, right? I think it's Anne Hathaway. Chick that was in Princess Diaries or something.
Yeah. Don't know.
I can't remember. But anyway, she's in this episode. The episode starts off, she's like so happy-go-lucky. Everything's great. And as the episode progresses, you realize that she's suffering from something, but you don't know what it is. And then it turns out she's bipolar. And for me, it was like super educational, because when I think of bipolar, someone that's bipolar, I used to think, it was like very negative in the sense where 1 minute they're like happy and the next they're just like causing trouble, like they're angry, doing all these types of things. But what it really is for her, she would be really happy, things would be going her way, she was like the top of her law firm, and then she would have really low periods where she explained it as her not feeling like she could get out of bed, or she felt like an elephant was just standing on her chest, right? And she's like, I don't want to do nothing. So what happens is she meets the guy, right? She meets this black dude, instantly falls in love with him. She's like, this is the guy. I feel like I'm supposed to be with him. Right? And she's experiencing this in her manic phase, when she's like up.
Happy, right.
When she's happy. And then what happens, she meets him, she meet him at the grocery store. He's like, listen, I want to take you to dinner. And she's like, yeah, of course, I'm down. And he's like, you know what, scratch that. Like, I'm gonna take you to breakfast. And she's like, tomorrow morning? Like, he's trying to be slick? He's like, no, like right now. Then they're going to breakfast, the day's great. She says, all right, I'll meet you for dinner next week, Tuesday. Tuesday comes around, she's happy. And then like an hour before the date, she can feel like the wave coming of sadness, right? Like she
And
can,
nothing to do with him.
it's nothing to do with him. She can just feel like her mood changing.
Yeah.
And the worst part is she was like so upset because she wants
To like
she's
him,
like
yeah.
she's like telling herself, please, like don't
Ruin this, basically.
Yeah, like don't let this happen, don't let this happen. And it's like two different people. She ends up, the guy still ends up seeing her, and when the guy meets her, he's like, what?
The energy.
The energy's totally different. They still go on a date, everything's off, and he's thinking, you know, like,
Maybe I did something.
maybe I did something. Fast forward, she is backing her up, and she's like, oh my God, I went on my date with him
On her low.
on her low. So she calls him and says, hey,
That's
sorry about
crazy.
the other
That's
day.
actually crazy.
She said, I'm sorry about the other day. I was like really sick. I wasn't feeling well. Let's go on a date again, right? Like, I want to make this up to you. Because she seems perfect,
Yeah.
right? Day comes and it happens again. And what happens is the guy gets to the buzzer to get in, no answer. Because by this point, she's so crippled by it. She can't even like get up off the floor, right? And you know,
On his side, he doesn't know what's happening.
yeah,
So
and
he's
like
just
as time passes, she's basically, it's
Did she lose him?
she loses him. She's explaining the story after it's happened, right? By this point, what ends up happening is she basically tells one of her closest friends, who's one of her coworkers, that she's bipolar. Like, she's kept this from everyone.
Right.
And her friend, who was this black woman, was just like, her phone rings, and she works at the law firm with her, and she's like, I was supposed to be at a meeting like 10 minutes ago. And she picks up the phone and she says, like, tell them I'm gonna cancel the meeting. Like,
Yeah.
I'm done for the day.
This is important right now.
This is more important. And the way Anna Hathaway reacted, she just like broke down, because she's like, you're the first person I ever told. It feels like the elephant lifted its foot off my chest. Because in those moments, you have to understand, I bring it back to the girlfriend, because you don't know like how long she's been dealing with this and never said anything about it, right?
And how you react to that first time opening up can determine what they do.
It's just,
Seriously.
It's exactly like how we discussed, you know, when you ghost people, like you don't know, like I never knew the effects of what it might have on women moving forward, right? So in this particular case, whether you're a man or a woman, if you tell your partner or people in your life close to you, like, I'm going through something, I think, look, I can understand why it might be uncomfortable to like hear this, but you have to understand that they trust you enough to tell you this, and now you almost have like an obligation to say to yourself, look, how am I gonna react moving forward? Because this could alter a lot of things in this person's life moving forward. And if you care about them, even if you don't see this going super long term, you can still say, like, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the first step. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just let the person know, like, I'm there. And then things tend to start falling into place as long as you are present mentally and physically with this person. You know? So I told that whole story because it was very...
No, it's relevant.
Yeah, it's like very interesting to see. I never thought about that in a million years.
Because that one reaction...
Yeah.
Like, you don't choose who tells you what, right? That's your aura, and you make people feel comfortable based on your personality, but you don't get to choose what people tell you. So you have to take every conversation as serious as anything else you would have, because let's say, you know, this person, like he was saying, you know, if you're the only person that they've told, you know how long they've been holding it. But let's say you are the one and only person they've told in their entire life, and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
Not that it's your fault, but that response or that lack of, you know, compassion or whatever to deal with that situation at that time, now may make them feel like, I should have never told nobody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep this the rest of my life. Not like,
Yeah.
even though like if they told someone else, they would have responded very differently, because you didn't, you know, I'm not gonna say care enough, but you didn't, you know, respond in a compassionate way.
Yeah.
They now retract even deeper, and like it just gets worse. And you don't even know what happened. Like you're just like, and they might into your face be like, oh, you know what? Never mind. Like they might just brush it off. So like, you know what? I shouldn't have said anything. It's okay. Like, but inside they're just, you know. So you have to understand like how you affect certain people. Anytime you have any conversation, not just doesn't have to be so extreme like suicide, but anything someone's open up to you about, isn't typically something that they're telling everyone. They're clearly not just posting. Some people post their emotion online, whatever, but there are certain things, someone comes to you and you know they're not someone who's typically an open person.
Yeah.
You have to take that and, really own it as this is my responsibility now.
Yo, and you said like a really great point there about, what it's gonna change the trajectory of like how these people move forward in life. And the biggest thing you said is we don't get to choose who tells us what.
No.
It's literally all based on your aura and energy that you give off to people, right? Like, I'm not gonna go and tell how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm not gonna go and tell that to any random stranger, unless for whatever reason
they did something.
They did something. I get this vibe from them where I can tell them, and it would be okay, right? So in these instances, when someone is approaching you with anything like personal in life to them that has anything to do with their physical health or mental health, you literally just have to treat it with a lot of respect. I think the biggest thing is just empathy. You know what I mean? And I think having empathy is something we have when we're born. I think it's lost throughout the years as we grow up because of how society like forms us.
Just the negativity just makes us cold sometimes.
And then
it does.
And I think it's something you need to relearn because I don't need to, have experienced certain things in my life to understand why it would affect someone the way that it is. If I can just take the time to sit there and really think about it.
Right.
Because that's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, if someone tells you something, all you have to do is just really sit there for a moment and wonder to yourself, like, damn, okay, I get that, right? Or even if you don't get it, you can just say, look, I don't get it because I've never been through it in my life, but, you're someone I care about. This is something I want to fix.
I think one of the toughest situations I've been in to date, and which applies to this, like even what we're talking about, like it's a very tough situation is to have that empathy, even though you're falling out of love with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like if someone, like for example, I've been told by, a partner in the past when I was younger that like they want to commit suicide, right? Or they have before, and they're kind of having the same feelings come whatever's happening. But while they told me this, I'm also planning to break up with them.
Yeah, so
it's so tight. Like it's such a consumed position to be in.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't want to break up with them now.
Yeah.
Because that might push them, right?
Yeah. I think.
But do I just stay?
Well, this is the thing.
Like, yeah.
Well, this is the thing.
This is
right?
and I had to stay because, like, it sounds bad, but again, I was saying you don't get to choose. Like, I can say I want to be out of this relationship, like, but they've now told me this.
But this is the thing, though, right? Like I think the key thing in that particular case is you brought up this is when you were a lot younger, right? And I think by us having conversations like this, it will change the way a lot of people think about these things at a younger age. Because back then, there's no way that you ever would have known any of what we're saying now.
Right.
And more importantly, I think the biggest thing, when someone tells you something in confidence, right, anything to do with their mental health, I think the first thing the recipient does in their head is, I am now attached to this in a way that I didn't sign up for, And
like, why'd you tell me this?
Right, because now it's something I keep in my head. Like I worry that if something happens between us, it's gonna affect the way your mood is. Even if it's not in a dating sense, I could just be friends with you. Now, what you have to do, what I think you have to do in that particular case is, even if you're falling out of love with them or you're not in a relationship, whatever it is, I think you have to understand that I appreciate you're telling me this, but I am not. You have to remember, like, you're not the person's doctor, therapist, or whatever it is in that situation. They told you because they're hoping that you can help in some way. And quite honestly, the best thing you can do is talk them through it and then figure out next steps in terms of getting them the help that they need.
Help. Right.
Because I've been in that situation before where all of a sudden you start feeling like I have no choice but to
You're
stay.
stuck. You feel stuck.
right? And then what that will lead to is resentment, right? Which doesn't help the situation anymore. So I'm saying these things because I'm at an older stage in life where I understand these things a little bit more. And I think people just need to understand when people tell you these things in confidence, they're doing it because they trust you, but you also need to remember, like, look, you just need to help them get to the next step, right?
That's your role.
That's your role.
It's not a lifer thing.
You know, it's not a lifer thing. And when you're in a relationship with someone, I know we all like to play like a pseudo therapist or doctor or lover, whatever it is. You're not those things professionally.
Right.
So you have to, once you can remove that part from your brain, then you can just look at it from the objective and say, I'm going to help you. And it might be by getting someone who's more qualified, right? Yeah. I hope that doesn't come across as like harsh, but
it's the rational version. Like, I mean, he's not saying, like, we have to be very specific about this. He's not saying someone tells you something, you say, here's a number, hotline.
Not like that.
You have to invest as much as you can to get into that stage. So yeah, you might want to break up, you might want to leave or end the friendship, whatever it is, but put that personal feeling on hold temporarily. Doesn't mean, we're saying it's not a forever thing. It's not now you have to stay with them forever. No, it's whatever you're saying, I don't want to be with a relationship, I don't want to be with a friend, whatever that is, it's not an important thing. It's more of it's like, I don't really like this right now for me. Like, it's a personal thing, right? You can put your personal feeling aside for a bit, and that's the compassion part we're talking about. Because you getting out of a relationship is not such an immediate thing that it needs to proceed right before this, like before they deal with this. It's like you'd like it to happen, but if you can put your personal things aside, help them through this to a point where they're comfortable, and then, get them and transition them into something, more qualified, that's your role there. Yeah. And then, after you stay with them and make sure they're in something that's, steady and they're on a better, mindset, then you can kind of have a discussion and be like, you know what, like, I'm glad you're here. I helped you here. This is kind of how I'm feeling about our relationship. Nothing about you personally, and it's not regarding this absolutely, but just regarding my own things that I want to do. We're not working out. Yeah. But the only question I have for you is, are you still required to be available?
What, if you're no longer together, or?
Yes.
I mean, if we're talking about like from a relationship perspective, is very that's a very unique and like tricky situation.
I think it's discretionary.
Yeah, it's discretionary. Like it all depends on your relationship with that person. If you didn't end, if you ended and it wasn't because of something like catastrophic, I don't see the issue, right? Especially, I'm pretty sure, even though I'm not like friends with any of my exes, I'm quite positive if I found out something detrimental would happen to them, I'd check in. But that's just of the type of human being I am. But it's all subjective, you know. So I think, like, to wrap up and bring this all full circle, it's interesting because we're talking about people, when people approach others and bring these issues to them, like how appreciative you have to be. It's crazy to me when I think about the fact that, people will ask us these questions, and
we're not responsible now.
And this is a TV show, about relationships, entrepreneurship, all these things. And I'm very appreciative when people ask questions like this, because it lets me know that, this is a show where people can trust us. We're not spewing things that make no sense. I'm sure sometimes, when it comes to relationship stuff, there's some people probably shaking their fists at the screen. But the reality is, I'm thankful that the viewers and listeners who tune in trust us to give them some form of advice, right? Because never in a million years did I think, especially like when I think back to high school, I didn't think any of this would be happening. Yeah. I never envisioned it. So I just want to say thank you to you guys for allowing us to use this space to, spread some positivity and impart some knowledge on you guys when we can.
Like he said most of it, to be honest. It's very humbling to, receive a message like that in confidence. And they're obviously asking these questions, which I also realize you did it first. I typically would post on our story, on our feed, for our questions and stuff for people to drop questions below. But as some of the questions becoming more intimate, I think he put one of our posts in our story as a private message, which I did this morning to follow in fashion because there are some questions that are public. You can just kind of be like, what do you take on this? What do you take on this? But a question like that, he wouldn't comment that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like there's certain questions like, one, his girlfriend might follow us as well.
Yeah.
So he can't put that question there.
Yeah.
Right? He can't. So we may start most likely transitioning into, putting our questions in our story, our question box in our story if you guys would DM us directly. I feel like there are questions you guys might have that you're not necessarily comfortable, dropping publicly on the page, but a question like that, he was comfortable enough to message us directly, and I feel that's, maybe the direction of our show might be changing that way to, become more personal and for us to become, the facilitators to get these questions out there with just anonymously.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a better response from people if they don't feel like anyone can really judge
for sure
the questions they're asking.
I agree.
But yeah, other than that, guys, thank you guys again. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to be here. Christmas is coming. We have some Christmas questions to ask, next week that are very interesting, just culturally and even like geographically. Like some people don't celebrate Christmas, so it's like questions around it and the curiosity of how people deal with the gifts and the religion. It's interesting. But winter's here. You're welcome. Until next week, guys. Thank you guys for listening. I'm MR.KOA alongside
Top Boy.
It's Wntt TV. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Hello?
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.